Welcome to Unity of Springfield, Adult Education and World Religion. And welcome to the live stream folks as well. Today we're going to be going over this book, The 5 Levels of Attachment. And I've split it up into 2 weeks, so I'll be speaking this week and then also next week. And this week we're going to talk about some of the basics of the 4 agreements, 5 agreements, and the attachments, what they are, and the way of looking at it. And then next week we're going to work on what we can do to work up and down the levels of attachments. So how do we make sense? How do we make it useful for us? So we'll do that next week. The 4 agreements are real near and dear to me, the Miguel Ruiz, and I had never experienced them or heard of them until I came here to Unity of Springfield. And it was one of the things that, along with Abraham Hicks and a couple of others, that just really struck me, and I go, wow, this is cool stuff. I really love the way that they present.
Worth driving 80 miles for it.
It's worth driving 80 miles. That's what it was. So we're going to start with a little meditation. And just go ahead and get relaxed in a comfortable position, and let's focus on our breathing. And just get comfortable. Everything is made of light. We are stars. When we see this, all of our senses are open. And there is no need to interpret the world. In this moment, our full unlimited potential is available to us. There is nothing blocking our way. Don Miguel Ruiz, the 4 agreements. So nothing we're going to talk about today is new to you. Okay? We already know it. We've known it all of our lives. We just need to look deeply with simplicity, as we've been led to through Abraham Hicks, the words of the gaze of Thich Nhat Hanh. And we just need to slow down the insanity and just be love. That's all that we need to do. It's not as complex as sometimes as we can make it when we choose. So there's some handouts. I don't know if there's enough. The 4 agreements were based, so this book is written by the son of the author of the 4 agreements. And he was also a co-author of the 5th agreement. And the 4 four agreements were based on Toltec wisdom that was passed down through centuries through the Nahuatl, Central Mexican spiritual masters. And they used to come and meet at the ancient city of Teotihuacan. I don't know if I'm saying it right. But this was the city of pyramids outside of Mexico City. And they would come to visit there. Now, the Naguals, these spiritual carriers of wisdom, went underground because of European conquest, and also because some of their apprentices engaged in rampant misuse of the powers that came from the wisdom, and so it was shunned for many centuries. But there continued to be passed down in certain families the wisdom and the information. And the Ruiz family was one of these families. They were a part of the Eagle group, and their grandmother passed that on after Don Miguel was in a car accident. He had studied to become a medical doctor and was practicing medicine in LA when he was a really bad car accident and had a near-death experience and realized that the only way that he could have lived was something that was otherworldly occurred. And that brought him to kind of a spiritual crisis, and so he went and sought out his mother and grandmother and started to learn the family tradition. So, as you all know, the 4 or the 5 agreements are: 1, be impeccable with your word. Number 2, don't take anything personally. 3, don't make assumptions. 4, always do your best. And the 5th one, which the son came up with, and it's also really kind of critical to hear, is be skeptical but learn to listen. Now, be skeptical doesn't mean to be negative. Doesn't mean that you don't believe anything. It means listen to the truth with a non-judgmental stance. So you're really deeply listening to your experience and observing, watching, using all of your senses, even intuition and other senses that are beyond the 5 senses. And that's one of the reasons why we have to slow down and sometimes quiet ourselves with meditation. So we become available to these senses, these deeper senses, and the deeper listening, so that informs us of what seems to be true in the world, at least for ourselves in this moment. Not what happened last week or when we were growing up, not what's going to happen to the stock market or to this or what's going on in politics or whatever. Just right here, right now, just in this moment. That's where the playing field really is. So in addition to these 4 agreements, and these 4 agreements are based on a way, those are recommended skills to overcome domestication. So I looked up domestication, and the AI told me that it refers to the process of being conditioned to adopt a particular belief system and societal norms, often at the expense of personal freedom and authenticity. primary tool of domestication is self-judgment. Now, we're taught self-judgment by our culture, our parents. Our parents they were so excited when we started speaking until we learned the word no. And then we immediately got punished for saying the word no. But we got attention, and it was a powerful word. But we were also, and it's really fun. But so, and self-judgment resides where self-acceptance wishes. So, at a very basic level, self-judgments are a consequence of what we believe about ourselves at the core. So, ultimately, it's really important that we have an honest relationship with ourselves if we're going to have a journey that is, sorry, live stream folks. If we're going to have a journey that's where we feel like we have a participatory relationship with the universe, and we're able to really go out and have some fun. Because at the basis, we want to have joy and happiness, and we want to have some fun. Of all the beliefs to detach from, this one is the most important one, according to Moses. Let go of the attachment that you must obtain some image of perfection in order to be happy. Let go of the attachment that you must obtain some image of perfection in order to be happy. Only you can take control of your own narrative, of the voice in your mind. It's one of the few things you actually are able to get control of when you are aware and in intention. So we're all going to have automatic thoughts. We all have habit thoughts. We were trained, and then as we grow into adults, we actively are training ourselves. Yes.
There's a question from Mr. Book here.
Oh yeah.
You spoke of some. You spoke of some level of perfection. These seem to be contradictory. Perfection, and levels of perfection are less than perfection, and so I'm having a hard time putting it together.
It's an image of perfection. That's what it was, the actual words. So let go of the attachment that you must obtain some image of perfection. In other words, that other people think you're okay. In order to be happy. That you're approved of. It's the whole thing, in psychology, stuff there in analysis, which I don't really subscribe to, but there's the whole thing about, trying to get approval of your father and stuff, which is a very common, and there's some truth to it. There is this desire to gain approval, and they're just saying that trying to gain that approval is going down the rabbit hole.
Well, the teachings of Abraham Hicks is that as within, so without. And the law of attraction determines what's going to show up in your life. And so they would say we came here already perfected. We're already as the powerful, amazing, wonderful
You're
beings
stealing
that
my
we
thunder,
are.
Wendy?
And the thing is, this world, it's not a matter. If I make rules that I'm not good enough, then I get to have a life that's filled with people and experiences that will show me I'm not good enough. And so if I want to be happy, I've got to make myself always, it's an inside job. So
Totally.
I have to change that in order to be happy.
Correct. Correct. So it's not easy to just wake up one day and say you're perfect to yourself and actually believe it. First, you have to leave behind these false ideals of perfection. So and these false ideals come from all kinds of different places, which you don't need to go into all those, but it's releasing the attachment to those ideals is the work that we're talking about. And I needed to stop judging myself. I need to stop judging myself for not meeting my own expectations and accept myself for who I am at this very moment. And then this very moment. And then this very moment. So it is a practice. I have to begin at the beginning, learning to love myself and giving gratitude every morning for being alive. It's a great place to start. Just wake up and experience gratitude. Second, view your life as an artist and accept that everything is a work in progress. Everything is a work in progress. Because then there's the next moment. And then there's the next one. And it's always change. It's always going to be changing. Always in flux. We try to make it repetitive and we try to control it, and that doesn't work out very well. And our life is a canvas, and we're all Picassos. We're all geniuses in our own right. And that's a quote from Miguel Ruiz Sr. And so then they say, well, this is what freedom is. It's the ability to enjoy and be exactly who you are without suppressing yourself in the form of judgment. A bird is a bird. A saguaro is a saguaro. A human is a human. Lettuce is lettuce. That I added that. A nod to Thich Nhat Hanh. And you are you. Perfect. Just as you are. Just out of the box and throughout the messiness of life. Just perfect, just as you are in this moment. It becomes imperfect when you start trying to go, well, I could have done this, or I should have done that, or what if this doesn't happen? What if, it gets all convoluted. And when we just stick to our current moment awareness, then we're in perfection. Not necessarily free of pain, but we are in perfection. Just as it needs to be. When we accept ourselves for who we are in this very moment, we change because we want to grow and evolve with life. Love is no longer the condition of change. It's the starting point for change. This is the true meaning of unconditional love. So when we free ourselves of judgment, it becomes an impetus and a beginning point for change, because then we can choose what we want to do, what we want to be, who we are, without the encumbrance of agreements that we're not choosing. So the next two concepts that we're going to talk about is the personal dream and the dream of the planet. Okay, so the personal dream is our own dream, our own day-to-day interactions. The dream of the planet is this quote-unquote reality that we came into, that we were born into. The collective unconscious or the collective consciousness, if you will. So about the personal dream, I'll never know what it feels like to be you. I cannot know what it feels like to be in your body. I'll never know, for example, what coffee tastes like to you.
Oh,
There's and I can only know what coffee tastes like from my own point of view and what it is for me and how I like it. There's no one else, and I am alone in the way that I experience this life. There's no one else living in this body. There's no one else that sees life through my eyes. And my beliefs, or your beliefs, are your beliefs alone. And they belong to you. You are the only one who's with you for your entire life. From that first breath to the last one. Nobody else is going to hang with you the whole time. And you wouldn't want it. So imagine if you don't like yourself. That's a tough life. And all of us have some self-judgment because it's so ingrained in our culture and dysfunctionally functional families and passed on. And there's no escaping yourself. There's no escaping your own internal dialogue, that ongoing conversation we all have with ourselves. There's no escape. And we can intervene on it. We can create it. We can be the creator of that. Now, we can't create each other's internal life. But we can have a great impact on our own internal life. Although, if we go to default mode, it will create on its own in default. Or we can choose to figure out ways to write our own internal dialogue. So the reason for addressing the agreements and stuff is because those are like kind of the rules, some of the writing rules are these agreements and attachments that we have to certain agreements are like writing for this internal dialogue. So it's important to understand first ways the rules work and then take a deep dive into our own when we want to. You know, it's not something you have to do now, or It's something that each individual person has to choose, have to say, yeah, I'm ready to look at this and maybe do it a little different if and when we choose. Regardless of how you try to distract yourself, you can never avoid your own point of view, the way that you look at it. And you can also impact what your point of view is. You can broaden it, you can open it up. You perceive and you project your own life and your own dream. This dream is constructed through your thoughts and experiences of being alive. You experience the dream through your nervous system and your body, through your eyes and your ears, through your emotions, and through your love. You're the only one that knows how wonderful it is to feel the pleasure of eating that meal. Really. You're the only one that knows what it's like to hug and kiss somebody. Or simply being alive through your own perception. It's your own personal dream. So then that's the dream of the self, of the person. Then there's the dream of the planet. And this is constructed by our collective choices. It's the manifestation of our shared intention. It's composed, and this also applies to the personal. It's composed of the yeses and nos, also known as intention. But the dream of the planet is the collective yeses and nos of all the individuals collectively on the planet is what creates our world as we know it. The physical manifestations, the social manifestations, the financial system, the technology that emerges, everything. For every yes, something's created. And in Abraham Hicks' speak, it's if we pay attention to it, that's a yes. And it's attractive and creative. For every no, there's no creation, absence of creation. But it's involved with creation nonetheless because the no means that's not going to happen, which then creates an opportunity for something else to create. So it's like weeding a garden.
I was thinking about I have a good friend, and one time we sat down together after several not wonderful relationships, and this was pre me learning about Abraham. And we sat and wrote down what we wanted in a relationship, and then we talked about it, and then we did a little ceremony, and we did some things. Now, her intention is not to understand all this stuff. Her intention was to have a wonderful relationship. My intention is to understand all this stuff and have a good relationship. Took her 3 months, took me 3 years.
You just did it, yeah.
Just did it.
So, and we're all connected because we have a desire to engage with one another. And we either engage with each other in a relationship based on respect, or we impose and subjugate each other disrespectfully with the need to make each other fit the mold of our own beliefs and ideals. On a smaller scale, take 2 individuals. Whoever controls the yes controls the relationship. And harmony exists when we engage in one another's respect, honoring each other's yeses and nos as we construct the dream of us. Now, this is, really powerful stuff on a real basic level. And it's one of the reasons why the Nagel apprentices went haywire, because they realized the power of this and used it for negative, for their own personal gain, to the detriment of some other people. Got some controlling things. And you see this in the basic domestic violence relationship. There is a control for the yes, and that's embedded in that. So then we're going to talk about knowledge and attachments. And knowledge is information which we can form attachments to. It's also a very important tool for interacting in the world and for informing our thoughts that we use in creation. So, if my attachment to what I know blinds me to all the available options, then my knowledge is controlling me. It is controlling my attention, and it's creating my personal dream for me. With awareness of my attention comes the opportunity to take back the control and to live as I choose. Looking at the story of your life, do you take action as dictated by your attachment to knowledge, or do you use knowledge to take an action based on the awareness of your present moment? So, does your knowledge tell you what's going on in this present moment, or does your present moment inform you of the validity of what you think you know? Well, it's like it's like a tail wagging thing. Is your knowledge? Go ahead.
I think fear is a good example here. So you could say, oh, this is never going to work out. This is going to end badly for me, but you actually don't know that. You just think that based on the circumstances, right? Maybe this ledge is crumbling. I am standing up really high. I know what I weigh. I know that rock is fragile. I'm calculating. I'm deciding, and I think that I know the outcome, even though of course we can't. Fear gets in the way often.
Yeah, that's a good example. Go ahead.
Additionally, just a real world, you can have a conversation with another human being, and you're like, oh, well, maybe you're trying to accomplish a goal, maybe not, whatever. Internally, your knowledge tells you that this is going terribly, or it's going great, and so you have this preconceived notion based on your own experience and understanding about the outcome of something, which is not in any way actually truly reflected in the other person, because you can't know the other side of stuff. My job interview is going poorly, and then you get the job, or vice versa. And so that's a way to, I don't even remember what the prompt was. Can't know. Yes.
Another one would just be, I know that another person is going to either be helpful or harmful. I think I know this. I know it because I'm telling myself. But then when I sit still in the quiet, in the current moment, what's there? Does the internal dialogue match up with what is?
So I'm trying to, so for me, it's like if something's happening around me, I go into the knowledge I know about myself as a spirit and who I really am. And I don't look at anything that's going on around me as a determination of what's okay and what's not okay. It feels like the opposite to me of what you're saying.
Okay, for instance, I could say, like right now, I could know that the economy is terrible. Well, everything's crumbling. Everything is going to crap. And then when I sit still, I go, well, but I'm okay. I'm all right. Things are all right. I'm doing okay. I'm doing what I want to do.
So it's equating knowledge with current manifestation.
It could be, yes. Well, no.
Or comparing what you're
Knowledge is your thoughts,
About current manifestation.
or just your thoughts. Could have nothing to do with current manifestation. Your thoughts are active 24/7, and sometimes they're way off base.
Except for me.
Except for you, yeah. Except for
I
Paul.
was thinking the same thing.
So that's the thing, is if you're attached to enough knowledge, for instance, take religion. And I know every damn one of you is going to hell. And I know that. Because I know you. And that's my knowledge. And I'm attached to that because of a certain set of beliefs that I subscribe to, that I'm attached to. And when we get into the levels of attachment, it can go beyond being reasonable. It can get into fanaticism. Is one of the levels of attachment. And so that's our relationship with information has to do with these levels of attachment. Whether or not we can see them in the light of current moment. This is the way things are in the moment versus the way things are because of this internal dialogue and these attachments controlling what it is that we choose to believe.
So we go back a little bit. You made a statement that I disagree with.
Sure.
You said that our thoughts are going 24 hours a day, 27.
They can.
Okay, they can, and with most people, they probably do, except when they're in a really, really deep sleep, and then they're in that space of emptiness. But that is one of the things that meditation can do, is help you to still your mind. And I have heard that, your thoughts are still going when you're meditating, but there comes a point as you practice and get deeper that all of the saints and sages that have ever attained what we look at as enlightenment, they come to a point where it's total stillness and there are no thoughts. And I don't think that is common knowledge.
Well, they say gamma waves are rather boring.
Well, yeah, but I don't think that it's common knowledge that you can come to that still point. And I think it's out of that still point that everything else comes.
Okay, I need to move on. You got it.
Okay.
John, can I?
Sure.
All right, to that. So I don't have like an internal dialogue, much like what you were saying, or rather, it's always there, but you choose to tune into it or not. Kind of like a record player that is always spinning the record, but you have control over the arm. So when you choose to engage, you can have a conversation with yourself and do creative stuff or do the focusing things. But when you can lift the record arm off of the spinning disc, you're not bothered by the chatter, as it's called sometimes.
Sure.
You live.
or just getting into the habit of non-doing, non-doing. So, so the issue is, is the knowledge controlling you, or are you controlling the knowledge? So then we go into the 5 levels of attachment, which is this relationship that we have with knowledge. Level 1 is the authentic self, where you invest just enough of yourself to choose. You experience the purest form of joy stemming from your pure desire to experience life without condition. So you can move into choice and move back out effortlessly. Level 2 is preference. So this is you're choosing to have an attachment. The ability to attach and detach easily allows you to invest in an emotional side of yourself that will enjoy the ups and downs. Life is happening, and you're able to share it with those around you, regardless of how they see themselves. So authentic self, there's not much investment. Yeah.
So when would the moment come when you know that you've reached enlightenment?
Oh, that's a good question. I don't have the answer for that.
Okay. Is it something you have to find out like within yourself?
It's it's a personal thing, and I would not say that I have reached enlightenment in the state of the Buddha, but I will say that I've had epiphanies and awakenings where I'm just in a state of bliss, and I practice experiencing that. So the preference is that life's happening, and regardless of how they see themselves, you're able to share positive happenings with those around. Again, it doesn't, at that level, in that level, preference level, the other person doesn't have to be on the same wavelength. You can still enjoy that relationship without them following you or going along with your ideas, or without, it doesn't have to be a state of agreement. You can be in a state of agreeing to disagree, and it's just comfortable in that level. Level 3 is identity. It's become a part of your identity, the attachment to this idea, this agreement, or involvement with the other person. And that someone forms about who you think you are. So no matter what the effect is, you've let that attachment affect your persona, your sense of who you are. And then that attachment bleeds into the world that has nothing to do with it. So you start to, things that, because of that attachment, you start making judgments and that don't make any sense, and about things that you know nothing about. But we do this all the time when we are in that level of attachment. Level 4 is internalization. That's although the piece of knowledge that we're attached to has nothing to do with you in reality. Your self-importance correlates with your attachment. You believe that anyone that doesn't agree with you is wrong. And this is the point where the attachment is moved from identity to internalization. You've internalized your attachment to such an extent that it has become a condition of self-acceptance. So there's some people that are Chiefs fans, like really Chiefs. Chiefs, Kansas City Chiefs, football. They're football fans. And when the Chiefs win, we won. Now, they were sitting watching TV, but we won. it was them that won, except they didn't play football, they just watched the football. But it felt like it was them that won. And so it was that's that attachment, that internalization attachment. And when they lose,
It's a bad day, bad week.
oh, you know what I speak. So that's another level. Now, then there's level 5, which is fanaticism. The other person, they don't know any better. You choose not to have them in your life, and you're willing to fight them for what you believe in. Your belief becomes more important than experience. As your attachment grows, it can reach a culminating point that even respect is lost, even for humanity. Whenever we believe something without question, we are at risk for attachment at this most extreme level, and it can exist in the most unlikely place. The book had an example of soccer fans in England when they lost the game that actually led to the murder of fans from the other side in the stadium.
That's happened here too.
Yeah, yes, yeah, in baseball and football stadiums, and where people just become totally unhinged at a fanatical level. And of course, we know that religions and ethnic violence throughout the world is all based on this fanatical attachment level. That it's worth killing over. At one level, you can go to church and synagogue, temple, mosque, or a drum circle. You will find and feel the love of God and the grace of God all around you. At level 5, God just happens to be the focus of the devotion that the bureaucracy is centered on. In other words, that the religious institution or movement is more important than God. So engagement is a word that's been used here today. And engagement is the action of interacting with the focal point of our attention. It's the action of interacting with the focal point of our attention. As we engage with life, we naturally go down the levels of our attachments. Like a flower, continuously opening and closing as the days pass by, like a morning glory. It opens and closes each day and it gets presented with the sunlight. Sometimes we let go of our awareness as we increase our attachment on the focal point. So the higher the levels are going towards fanaticism, we have less awareness of the attachment that we're actually engaged in. And regardless of our degree of attachment, we're always our authentic selves. We just simply forget that as we move up the levels of attachment. And one reason that's important to talk about is that if you ever tried to have a conversation with somebody who's fanatical about something, or maybe even on a level 4 attachment, and try to talk to them about their attachment, well, it's not going to work because they just aren't aware of it. And so it could be very frustrating and potentially unsafe to have those kind of conversations. So it's important to be aware of that. And when we're residing in the authentic level, we have the freedom to choose how we want to engage the dream of the planet. Okay, so that, it's a direct thing about how to work in the world, how to get by in this world, how to interact with others in this world. Because everybody else is a part of the dream of the planet. They have their own personal dream, but they're a part of the dream of the planet. And so we need to take that in that context. And the awareness, because so we don't know, I don't know, we don't know what's actually going on in another person's head and what their body experiences until we have experienced it with them. And the way we experience it then is with our neural system. So being in touch with our own awareness of our own system is really important to increase the accuracy of how we're able to assess what's going on around us. So know thyself is really important. Even. So the awareness that we are living, the living being that gives life to our beliefs, to our knowledge, lets us choose with complete freedom where we want to place our intent and create for as long as we choose to engage it by our agreement. So in other words, as long as we choose to be on a specific level of agreement, that gives us an opportunity to engage with another person or another group or another idea, and we have the choice. As long as we have that awareness that we're involved in an agreement at a certain level, that allows us to move into it and let go. When we're not aware of that agreement that we're engaged in, then we think it's, well, but I'm sick. I can't do that. I'm totally at the mercy of my finances. I'm totally I don't have any control because I'm not aware of the agreements I've made. So the homework, because we're going to talk about next week, we're going to talk about moving up and down the levels, okay, and how we can navigate that. And if you choose, if you say yes to yourself, do some self introspection about what attachments are you choosing? What am I choosing? My family and friends, family of origin, nuclear family, chosen family, spiritual beliefs / non-beliefs, abundance and lack, sports teams, politics, political justice or social justice, ethnic and gender options, or opinions rather, opinions about ethnic groups, either ours or other people's.
Validity, everybody's valid.
Opinion.
But it's still a valid opinion.
I didn't say it wasn't a valid opinion. I say we choose to have opinions, which is the lowest form of thought, which is it's just an opinion. But we all can choose to have them. And they just exist. And I'm not saying that agreement or attachments are bad, because they're not. They're a necessary way of interacting with the world around us, with the reality that we were incarnated into. I'm just saying that we want to be aware of it. So that we're not at the mercy of those attachments. That we have choice into what to choose or not to choose. Nationalism, patriotism, choices in our diet, choices in our transportation. Last but not least, our physical self, our body. What's our relationship there? What are our attachments? Our need to appear ideally perfect there. So using this information for yourself, we're going to look at moving up and down the levels of attachment next week. And there's some skills that could be very helpful for that. And being aware of current and or transient attachments is a first step. So, and in the big picture, all attachments are transient. There's no such thing as a permanent attachment. So, and sharing is optional and will always be optional. But this is definitely an inside job for all of us. So I invite you to just kind of look at some of those things so that you have some examples in your head to use as we go through some of the techniques and the process of navigating going up and down the levels of attachment. And from that, I think I'll go to the announcements.
Thank you, John. Thanks, buddy.
Planet Unity is our annual Earth Day celebration and our biggest fundraiser. This two-day event is packed full of music, education, food, vendors, and so much more. There's a planning meeting today, right after the service. Be there or be square. Everyone is invited to attend and learning what exciting things are planned for this year's big event. Planet Unity t-shirts are now on sale. You can go to our website and order, or you can sign up in the foyer. If you scan the QR code on the flyers or in the foyer, it will take you directly to the order. God, they make it so easy now. Meditation is tonight at 6 p.m. and is open to everyone. This Tuesday, March 18th, join author and poet Karen Crago for the third and final session of Earth Writing, a workshop devoted to writing love notes to our Mother Earth. Earth Writing aims to offer both instruction and inspiration for poems and essays about nature and the environment. Some of the work created in the Earth Writing will be placed on display at Planet Unity. Sessions are 6:30 to 8 p.m. and are open to the public and free to attend. You do not have to have attended the previous two sessions to attend this one. I highly recommend this session. But she's a professional writer, and she behaves like a professional educator as well. And
I think she did teach for a long time.
yeah, and I mean, I don't know what her vocational history was, but other than being a poet and a writer, but she's been working in the newspaper. But
Well, she taught college too.
she did right. It was evident because she makes it easy to engage in your own writing experience, and so it's a lot of fun. If you've been putting off writing something, I really encourage you to go, because whether it's focused on the earth, but it's transferable. It's good stuff. The Unity Drum Circle meets on the first and third Thursdays each month. The next session is this Thursday, March 20th at 6:30 p.m. All are welcome to join. Next Sunday, the New Thought and World Religion class, John Braucher will present part 2 of the level 5 levels of attachment by Miguel Ruiz Jr. Class begins at 9:15 a.m. We will have our spring yard cleanup on Saturday, March 29th, beginning at 9 a.m. Please bring your yard tools and gloves. There's a sign-up sheet in the foyer, on the table in the foyer, and all help is greatly appreciated. I have agreed to kind of help herd us cats on this. So I really will encourage everybody, as many people as possible who like to get their hands a little bit dirty, to come out and help us clean up and get ready for Planet Unity. The more people we have, and boy, it just goes by so much faster. And you can come and stay for as long as you want to. And there's a list of some of the things that need to be done. So if there's something that you would like to do, we'll try and make it that available to you to look at. We are accepting donations for our Planet Unity yard sale, and that's it. Thank you very much.
You got